Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Thursday, July 23rd, and we are looking at some fallout. I guess Tesla got is hammered this morning. They're down 27 bucks. I haven't looked at that across the board, but that was, I guess, you never know. I haven't really heard about what the earnings report was, but it's definitely a shitty reaction, and that happens more than often, I guess, on those stocks. But um, so Tesla is down. Google is down 17 bucks. That's not a great report there either. So I guess they're getting punished and not rosy enough in the earnings report. It probably was a great report, but it's the expectations game is way up there. So anyway, both Google and Tesla way down this morning. Amazon is down 5 bucks. So yeah, it's a risk off kind of mode. It was an interesting overnight though, because you looked at this in the morning in the early overnight here. They were starting off pretty good. Well, actually, they gapped down a little bit, and then it had a nice little rally up here, and then they absolutely failed, and now they're back down here again. So the ES is not they're totally falling apart. Nasdaq's going to look a lot worse. So you can see here they just backed off the high. So yesterday's attempt to take it higher definitely backed off, and we're just back here in this middle range again. The news this morning is pretty anemic. The only thing we have is jobless claims at 8:30 and Chicago Fed National Activity Index, both at 8:30. Get the nat gas report at 10:30, and Kansas City Manufacturing at 11. 10-year tips auction at 1, but none of that is really going to move this whole thing at this point. So feels very much like there's a risk off feeling in the air here. So we'll see how bad it's going to get here as the day session kicks in. But right now, I'm still going to stay range bound to get started, given the earnings reports and the negative reaction on the stocks. At least those two stocks, I think the market may have a little bit of weakness ahead of it. So I would I would start off here range bound. I would probably favor the short try to get started to see if they're going to try to run it lower from the get-go. So initially, I would look to sell strength for rotations down. I would favor that, but it's pretty range bound. So I wouldn't be shy to buy against these support areas as well. If they blow through that 74.70s, I think at that point we're going to be in a worse shape. So initially looking to buy against, well, the 74.90, 95 here, we're trading there right now. So I would say the 74.85s, 74.70s for rotations back up. The 1995 here, it's a buying opportunity, but it's they're trading there right now, kind of work in that area. So it could be a buying opportunity, but yes, that would be look what it's doing at the time. Right now, that is. Anyway, so that is looking to buy against that these lower areas. I wouldn't be shy about it. I would favor selling strength. If I get a little pop of strength, like getting short against the 75.15s, the 25s, the 35s up to the 50s here for rotations down would probably be a good opportunities. I would initially look for these first levels, the 75 15s, 25 and 30 35 here. Above 35s, I think they are definitely backing off that short bias, and I would just go back range bound at that point. Still looking for shorts against that 75 50s and 75 65 to 70s for rotations down again. So still very much range bound. I would probably favor the short side just to get started, given the overnight and the earnings report, or actually the reaction to the earnings report. I haven't really looked at them yet, but if they sometimes this earnings report comes out just great, but it's just not great enough. You know what I mean? It's just expectations are way out there, and if they don't meet the expectations, then well, they get sold. Selling has nothing to do with evaluation or anything like that. But it's just the capex spend for AI, which is spooking people. But I would look to buy against these lower support areas, sell a strength. I would favor the short side to get started. Watch that 75.35. If that comes out, I will take off any short bias I have. And also on the way down, if they take out the 74.70s, yes, just lean in on the short side. At that point, we may have a risk-off day ahead of us. That's the way I'm looking at it right now to get started. Nasdaq had an interesting overnight. They've been up here trying to get past this area. The 29,300s have not been able to. That has been holding. as reverse, they were retesting it. The overnight, as you see, they gapped down a bit, then had this nice little rally here. They're running right up here, all the way up here to the 29 290s, and then failed from there, absolutely straight back down again. I thought for a second that like, okay, the initial reaction wasn't too bad, and then they're hitting back up again, but no, they just nailed it, and then they've been all the way down here to the 28 920s, 900s. And I would just stay on the short side, or range bound. I would favor the short side on the Nasdaq. As long as they hold below that 290s, I'm probably going to favor the short side. See if they want to take it lower. I would emphasize range bound trading. I would favor the short side because as you can see, the market is not quite moving directionally. It's just a whipping back and forth. But we have taken out the key support area, and we have been moving lower. So I would favor the short side. So initially looking to sell strength on the Nasdaq against the 950s, 29,000s, 29,060s, 29 140s, up to the 29 220s and the 290s for rotations back down. And I would look for if they start if they you see here to start taking out this area, the mode of yesterday at the 220s, well, both 220 and 290s, we can start leaning in on the long side again. But right now, if they had to kind of get past this one, the 290s here for me to start thinking long side of the market again. So range bound, I would favor the short side. I would still look to buy against support areas at the 910, 28, 28, 910, 28, 840s, 760s down to 700s for rotations up. Just a little bit less aggressively, since I'm favoring the short side, but thinking range bound trading, as long as they don't take out that 680, 700s here, I think we have a range bound dynamic going on here right now, even if it's potentially could blow through that at any time. So that's how we get started. So looking for short setups against the resistance 960s, 29,000s, 2960s, 140s, 220s, 290s for rotations down again. If they start blowing through this London high at the 140s, maybe look for there could be some long trades in there as they run it higher. The question is just how far they're going to try to run that thing. It's just hard to say how far they're going to move this higher. And on the way down, it's looking to buy against these support areas just a little bit less aggressively, as look for potential setups. Because when Nasdaq moves, it just blows through stuff, and it's hard to say. I would not be kind of counting on the edges to be very well defined. We have look at the areas as general areas, and they can whip around that pretty good before they actually stall it. So that's how we get started. You can see the pretty good range going already. It's 780,000 contracts traded, 260 on the ES and or the micro ES. So pretty good moves. The full size ES has traded so far. Let me see. I can find that guy. That has traded 178,000 contracts. So you can see how much less range we have on that, the volume we have on that contract right now. The micro contracts are really taking off. Finally, looking at the bonds, the bond market is signaling some heartburn. Look at that. They've taken out the one, they're down here at the 119, 109.15, 16s right now. That's the low. They haven't been there for a long time. So look at the capital flow. We are right down here. We're taking out the lows. The lows were the 109.15s. They're behind on that, so we're in the spots where we potentially could see new lows on the bonds and yields popping. Not a great thing to see, but definitely it's happening. So I start to take it for what it is. So I would trade this on the short side right now, looking to sell strength against the 109.20s, 109.30s for rotations down, and maybe up to the 110.04s. But definitely these first two resistance areas, looking for short setups against 109.20, 109.30s for rotations back down again. Potential buying opportunity down here, but as I said, if they're drifting lower like it has been, I would just be a little bit less aggressive on the buying opportunities. a nice little buying setup like that could yield a few ticks, but it looks like the bigger moves are happening to the downside right now. Crypto-wise, oil up to 90. Full-scale war coming, it looks like. So there's going to be they're going to be hammering them even harder. So so much for that. It's gold at 4,080, silver at 58, backing off pretty good. So both silver and gold you can see selling off a little bit. And then we'll see here, oil just popped a little bit. And Bitcoin down to 65 for. I would say that the Bitcoin is just hanging on that clarity act. If we didn't get that sorted out, I think we can see some strength in Bitcoin and those coin-based stocks and the crypto stocks in general. But right now they're kind of hanging there, waiting for that legislation to get through. So no trades on that one so far on my part. Looking at the back to the ES and Nasdaq. The trading oil is the one I'm eyeing. There's a nice movement going on there, and especially when it looks like it's trading up here now. So oil up to 90, above $90, not a great sign, but it's going to be volatile and probably on the upside, on the higher side of anything, as long as the shooting goes on over there. So we got another 15 minutes before we get news, but I don't think that news is going to do a whole lot of anything. Market feels very much in a risk-off mode. So I would, as I said, favor the short try to get started. Let's see if they're going to try to run it lower, but be mindful that you have support areas ahead of you. And if they take out these key lows, and then on the ES, that low is going to be the one on the bottom here, the 74.70s. This area right here, that 74.70 area. If that comes out, just lean in on the short side. And on the NASDAQ, that's going to be down at that 28,700. So there you have it. That's how we get started. It could be an interesting day. So anyway, we'll wrap it there for now. So you got a game plan, and let's see how this, if that weakness, overnight weakness, that turns into a flat-out sell-off, or if those support areas are going to hold. All right, guys, we'll wrap it there. I'll see you back at 11:30 for the next update. All right. Okay. So later.